The island may be behind them, but its mysteries remain. Will they ever escape its shadow? The weeks following my return were a blur. News of my survival spread quickly, though I kept the details of the island, and what had happened to Ethan, Marco, and the others, locked away. Reporters hounded me for stories, while scholars and adventurers begged for maps or clues. But each time they asked, I gave them the same answer. There's nothing to tell. It wasn't the truth, but it was the only way to protect them. 2 months after my return, I received a package with no return address. Inside was a small, unmarked journal and a note written in Ava's familiar hand. Ethan's sacrifice wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Meet me. Below her words was a set of coordinates, far from any place I recognized, but unmistakably tied to the ocean. I stared at the note for hours, my heart pounding with a mixture of dread and curiosity. Ava was alive, and she wanted me to follow her. But what did she mean by the beginning? That night, the shard began to pulse again, its faint glow illuminating the walls of my small apartment. I held it in my hands, feeling its warmth seep into my skin. The whispers returned, faint and fragmented. The cycle turns. The wheel never stops. What do you want from me? I asked aloud, my voice echoing in the empty room. The shard flared briefly, and an image flashed in my mind. A map, its edges marked with strange symbols, and a path leading to a new island. The message was clear. My journey wasn't over. The next morning, I packed my bags and prepared to leave. I didn't know what lay ahead, but I couldn't ignore the pull of the shard or Ava's message. The villagers who had taken me in watched as I boarded a small ship, their faces a mixture of relief and concern. You're leaving already? The fisherman who had saved me asked. I nodded. There's something I need to do. He didn't press me for details, but as I sailed away, I saw him standing at the dock, his expression somber. The journey was long and uneventful, the open ocean stretching endlessly in every direction. The shard remained a constant presence, its light growing stronger as I neared the coordinates Ava had sent. I spent the days poring over the journal she'd included in the package. It was filled with sketches and notes about the island, its glyphs, its traps, its strange connection to the artifact. One entry caught my attention. The island isn't just alive. It's part of something bigger, a network, a system. Each island is a piece of the puzzle, and the artifact? It's the key. When I finally reached the coordinates, I found Ava waiting on a small, desolate island. She looked different, her face thinner, her eyes sharper, but the determination in her gaze was the same. You made it, she said, her voice steady. Barely, I replied, stepping onto the rocky shore. What's all this about? She gestured to a small campsite near the water's edge where several crates of equipment were stacked haphazardly. I've been researching. The island we found, it wasn't the only one. There are others, each connected by the artifact's energy. And I think I've found the next one. I frowned, glancing at the shard in my hand. What makes you so sure? Ava reached into her satchel and pulled out a second shard, its glow identical to mine. Because it's calling to me too. As our shards pulsed in unison, the air around us grew heavy. The ocean seemed to still, its surface reflecting the sky like a mirror. Then the vision came. We stood on the deck of a ship, the wind tugging at our clothes as we approached an island larger and more imposing than the first. Its cliffs were jagged, its peaks shrouded in clouds, and its shores bristled with ancient structures that glowed faintly in the twilight. The whispers returned, louder and more insistent. The second key, the second test, are you ready? When the vision ended, Ava and I sat in silence, the weight of what we'd seen settling over us. We have to go, she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, though a part of me still hesitated. What if it's worse than the first island? What if we don't make it back this time? Her gaze was steady. Then we'll do what we always do. We'll survive. Over the next few days, we gathered supplies and prepared for the journey. Ava shared everything she'd learned since leaving the first island, about the network of islands, the artifact's origins, and the ancient civilization that had created it. It's not just about power, she explained one evening as we studied the shards. It's about balance. Each island holds a piece of the truth, but together, they might hold something more. Like what? I asked. She hesitated, her expression unreadable. I don't know yet, but I think Ethan did. As we set sail for the next island, the shard's glow grew stronger, casting long shadows across the deck. The whispers were faint but constant, their tone filled with quiet urgency. The journey ahead felt impossibly vast, the challenges unknown. But for the first time since Ethan's sacrifice, I felt a spark of hope. The island had taken so much from us, but it had also given us a purpose, a chance to uncover the truth and, maybe, to set things right. As the horizon darkened and the next island came into view, I tightened my grip on the shard, ready for whatever lay ahead. I stood at the bow of the ship, staring at the distant island, its silhouette sharp against the fading light. The whispers rose one last time, their message clear. The cycle turns, the truth awaits. I didn't know what we would find, but I knew one thing for certain. The Lost Island was only the beginning, the end for now.